Welcome in everybody to the Bitcoin Made Simple podcast. I am doing an interview today. Most of my episodes nowadays are not interviews, but I'll be doing an interview here with Pierre Corbin and Tomek. Tomek, what's your last name, or do you prefer not to have your last name out there?
I just easier for you, all of you, to just call me Tomek or
Yeah.
Tomek K.
And we
Polish
will be
surnames.
talking about the Bitcoin Film Festival. But before I get into that, get a Bitbox02 hardware wallet. Go to bitbox.swiss/Bitcoin Made Simple. Use promo code Bitcoin Made Simple to get 5% off. Get your coins off the exchange, people, because you are crazy if you keep them on the exchange while everybody's getting liquidated, and you're probably going to lose your coins if they're still in an exchange. Not naming anyone in particular, but I think we all in this call agree here. If you should get your coins, if you have coins, you should get them off an exchange. And then also Movies Plus, go to mymoviesplus.com and use promo code Corey to get 1 year for $24. And you'll be able to check out really cool stuff like what we have going on here. So Tomek and Pierre, tell me about, well, we'll get into the big origins of the Bitcoin Film Festival. Um, but give me your backgrounds a little bit and like getting into film and all that kind of stuff, like in Bitcoin and film. How did you get into both?
Pierre is a
Yeah,
filmmaker. You go.
yeah, sure. Uh, so I got into Bitcoin in 2019 is really when I left crypto and understood that Bitcoin only is what matters. And I quit my job in 2021, so that was still 2 years later, because I was sick of doing my corporate job, just building software for big corporations just wasn't as exciting anymore while I was obsessing over Bitcoin. So I quit and I just wondered, what can I do? I know that I want to work on Bitcoin, but what opportunities are out there? And 3 months in, just this passion I always had for filmmaking just drove me to making a Bitcoin documentary, which is The Great Reset and the Rise of Bitcoin. That is also on my Movies Plus, so you can always check it out there. It's
Yep.
also on YouTube, and it's one of the most watched documentaries in the world, which is really cool. And after that, I met just went traveling around, met a bunch of people, and also met Tomek here from the Warsaw Bitcoin community, because he kind of takes care of that. And we moved on to the Bitcoin Film Fest, but maybe I let Tomek introduce himself before we talk about that.
And that's when actually my connection between Bitcoin and films happened. I always loved cinema. I'm into Bitcoin since some years, and then like at some meetup we met with Pierre, and we got this idea. Hey, maybe let's do a film festival, and we made it in March this year, and apparently it became a larger initiative with various little projects to foster the growth and promote Bitcoin cinema industry. uh, on our horizon is Bitcoin Film Fest 2024 in April in Warsaw. So we hope this is our flagship event, annual film festival, like in Cannes, where it's
Yeah.
not only about showing films to the audience. Of course, it's important, but it's a where industry grows, where industry meets. This place where ideas will hopefully be taken to the big screen.
Yeah. No, that's how it works. I mean, for those that don't know, I mean, my main background is distribution, and all that kind of stuff. And I've been to film festivals all over the world, and that's how business gets done in the movie industry. Is we all go to all these festivals. It's really funny. I used to joke about it, but like there are people that live all over the world, but we'd all go to these same festivals, and it was like passing each other in like the hallway in high school, where you'd like, like you'd always like pass that same person and just give them like a hey, how you doing, catch up real quick. And but this would happen like we would be in Toronto, and then the next time it was in Berlin, and then the next time was in France. So it was like we're going all over the world, and like we just like catch up with the same like small group of people, like hey, how you doing, and it's like it's so weird because I have like friends that live maybe 30-minute drive from my house. I don't see them nearly as much as I see these people who I happen to run into in different parts of the world. So
That's
so
really cool that you are
Yeah,
in
it's
touch with them, right?
yeah, so
yeah,
you get
definitely. But it makes me think of Bitcoin conferences.
no, that's the
That's
same. It's the same thing. The same thing with Bitcoin conference. I'm noticing a lot of synergies there.
Well,
Mm-hmm,
I'm
mm-hmm.
also noticing lots of people being fed up with the conference formula. Like, I don't want any more Bitcoin conference. I want a party. I want something else. I've heard it a few times already, and probably that's our answer to that is the European halving party that we are also doing in April. It's gonna be like next to the Bitcoin Film Fest. So Bitcoin Film Fest will be part of the larger event called European Halving Party, because halving is happening at the block 840,000. It's gonna
What
be
is
around the date.
what is the rough estimate for the halving? Anybody know?
420. This is our rough estimate. No, actually,
So,
if you check like many sites calculators, if you count like average block time from recent like 2 weeks, it's around mid-April. So
yeah, like the range
we will
goes
hit the
around
jackpot if we.
17 to 23rd or so, right? Which makes our event right in the middle. So we're still, properly placed, but we'll see if we get that lucky.
We are
It
also on a
is
phone with larger nation states. Like if the hash rate goes too fast and if it's coming too early, then we ban mining in some states. So to make it come later.
it's uh I mean, just before we get into the film festival and everything, on a current Bitcoin standing, like I get I can't really fathom how the halving is going to make the price just explode. Um, because and it might not be immediate. Um, but this is my first time going halving to halving.
Mhm.
So like I've never done the full cycle, it was like got in before one. Um, so this is the first time that like this will be my second experience of experiencing a halving, and it's crazy because I just now like I mean it's weird like before I was like still not even really sure what the Bitcoin halving was. Like I was like, oh, I'm into Bitcoin, and and then like people started talking about this halving that was coming, and I'm like, what? Like what's gonna happen? Um, and I thought that like it was gonna like cut the price. Like my first reaction when I heard about the halving, I was like, you're gonna cut the price in half, and
Mhm.
then I figured out I was like, oh no, this is even cooler. Um,
It's
and
the opposite in theory.
yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And and so then I don't know. I've been thinking about it, and then like I've obviously back then like I didn't even know what it was going into it, and now I'm like running miners and getting into mining business and everything, and I understand the structure of why the price has to go up because miners that I'm like looking at natural gas mining, which is like the cheapest form of mining. But all the ones that are doing it on any kind of grid, even if you have a good electricity rate, the moment the price goes down, you're going to see like massive losses. Like they're going to lose serious amounts of cash. And there's a lot of public miners that I don't know. I don't think they're going to do too well. Like they're already basically scraping by as is, and they need capital infusion to keep going. So I don't know. I
It's
just
super unusual industry, right? Because first of all, it's a zero-sum game.
mm-hmm.
Whatever innovation you put there, whatever many companies will start mining, there will be always like 6 bitcoins every 10 minutes in rewards, and then
Yep.
3 bitcoins, right? So it's like you cut the same amount of pizza, so there is like very competitive industry. And also, like, I don't know if anywhere else you can say that, guys, this day all the income of whole industry is being cut in half.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Everything, like, it's like, and when it's when it's happening, so you have to prepare, like in advance, not in a 4-year advance, you even know in 40-year advance, more or less, when it's going to happen. So you need to prepare, you need to like have savings, you need to optimize how you sell it, how you also invest in machines. Super interesting. Definitely it has to have some price pressure.
Mm-hmm.
um, I'm not sure if it's gonna like follow these models and like repeat the same patterns, but for sure, like there is some influence. And how it works, like it's not even studied by economists yet that much, right?
No,
Yeah.
There
no.
is no
No.
this model of this economy of Bitcoin mining. Super fascinating, right? So Corey, kudos for being there. And I don't know how you mentally prepare for halving, because your income also from mining will be cut in half, right?
Oh yeah, yeah. I mean, like I've looked at the value, like the pro formas and stuff where you like we lay out for investors, like, hey, this is what it looks like. And off of natural gas mining, you're still profitable at the halving, but like there is a price shock where you're just like,
Mm-hmm.
whoa, like all of a sudden in April 2024, you're telling me the profits are going to get cut in half. You're like, well, like, I don't know what to tell you. That's what the halving is. And then, but
It is
it
how it
should
is,
have
right?
it should have the positive effect. Because in my opinion, the public miners that will survive, um, this is my like super very high level view. I think that there will be miners that aren't going to survive. And when the halving happens, any reserves of Bitcoin they have, they're going to be selling them to try and stay afloat, um, until they run out and go bankrupt. Um, and then there will be miners, and they'll be selling to try and extend their runway in hopes that the price will take off, and then they won't have to sell as much Bitcoin anymore, and their current mining will be more profitable. But then I think what's going to happen on the ones that have prepared well for it, that are on grid and everything like that, there'll be a shock, and they'll hold and they'll stop selling Bitcoin, uh, and they'll
Mm.
have built up reserves to be able to live off their cash reserves and not sell Bitcoin. And then that when the price recovers after it flushes out the ones that are weak, so this might, in my opinion, probably take 6 months. Um, so probably this time next year is whenever the price is going to be like super exciting. Um, but there's also so many other factors. Like you're looking at like the ETF, if it gets approved, what does that do? Like I don't know. I know we're not talking about, but we're Bitcoiners, so we're all talking about Bitcoin. So it's good. We're not really on the subject at the moment, but um, I saw this theory that somebody floated out the other day, and they said that they're not saying this is what's going to happen, but they think like the biggest attack vector possible is um, an ETF to create paper Bitcoin that uh, causes the price to soar so high that it all gets captured by big banks, and um, because the price will get so astronomically high that hodlers are going to be like, look, I I can change my life by selling right now, so I'm going to do it, and it's going to
Huh.
all funnel into these banks and institutions, and they're going to try and capture as much as they can. And in the future, the world will be a better place because you're on a Bitcoin standard, basically. But I don't know. I just thought I saw that and thought that was interesting. Of like, they do this ETF move and then have most everyone eventually capitulate and sell, not because they're forcing you to sell because you're going to go bankrupt, but forcing you to sell because all of a sudden, even if you just have a quarter of a Bitcoin that might be worth $25 million, and you're like, well, you know, I love Bitcoin and all, but I could also never have to work for the rest of my life if I sell some of this.
Yeah.
And the only buyer at
So
that point is going to be the only person that's going to be have the capability to buy a quarter of a, or maybe you only sell half of your Bitcoin and it's for $12.5 million. The only person that could buy that on the spot is going to be a big bank.
Yeah,
yeah.
but then it means
So
it had to produce this dollars, I guess. So what would be like $25 million if they had to print it probably to buy it, right? They
Yeah.
also have price, like the banks to buy Bitcoin. They also have the market price for that. But for sure, like at any point, whether it's pre-ETF, after ETF, or 5 years ago, this guy's closer to the printer. They have advantage on
Yeah.
buying assets. Yeah.
Yeah. And
yeah.
I just think
But
it's a matter of like hodling. It doesn't, we look so
yeah.
much through hodling from the perspective of, when the price dips, hodl, hodl, no matter what. But it's like when the price soars, we got to hodl to the point where we can then, you know, create this new world that we want to be in. But go ahead, Pierre.
Yeah, well, I think at the same time, I do think the ETFs that will come, they can likely, accelerate the increase in price in Bitcoin. I mean, theoretically, that's what could happen. Although a lot of people won't be actually holding any Bitcoin, right? So, I
Mm-hmm.
mean, I think there's maybe some more risk there. I feel where like some people might be getting rid of the actual Bitcoin they own in order to actually give it to these banks, and this is how these banks might hold of all this Bitcoin, whereas others aren't holding anything. I think there's big risk there. I'm not sure the price will increase that much, to be honest, because I think that's the kind of stuff we should underestimate as
Mm-hmm.
opposed to overestimate. And also, for Bitcoiners that have been holding for so long, I think it's such a confirmation. Even if the price would reach 25 million in like 2 years, it would be such a confirmation that, well, I mean, what's it going to be in 5 years, in 6 years? Like, it's going to be hundreds of millions, right? Because
Yeah,
I
like
mean,
you
that's how
might sell like a
Bitcoiners think,
million
right?
dollars worth. If a Bitcoin's worth 25
Yeah,
million,
if
like
it's
you might
worth
be like,
that
oh, you know
much,
what?
perhaps.
I'm gonna sell $1 million worth, take care of some things, set myself up, and you know, but I'm gonna keep the rest and just ride this out.
Yeah, yeah. I guess so.
Um,
But I'm not sure if 25 million isn't too optimistic though, in the
I mean,
short
yeah,
term.
in the short term, yeah,
Yeah.
it's way, I mean, I remember the last cycle I had, uh, I don't know if you guys know Mags, crypto Mags.
Yeah, she's Polish, by the way.
Oh yeah, oh yeah, I guess
Yeah,
I could
yeah.
see that. Um, and she, this was when the price was running. We were probably in the 50s the first time in the 50s, and she was like, everybody's calling 300K, and she's like, I'm just being, maybe we'll be at 100K, maybe, and I remember her being like saying that and thinking, man, you are so like setting your standards low because it's obviously going to blow past that. And
So
then,
bearish.
yeah, and then I was like, whoa, never mind. I was an idiot. She was right. Um, but anyways, yeah, let's talk about the film festival a little bit. I mean, you know, so you had the impetus to start a film festival, and it's only Bitcoin content that's in it, right?
Well, mostly Bitcoin content, but we did have last year. Wait, no, last year we had only Bitcoin content that we were screening. We had some trailer that was just, libertarian focused, so not Bitcoin directly. And this year, actually, we even had a call just this afternoon with Tomek where we were discussing other films that we would want to be able to introduce in the Bitcoin Film Fest that are about freedom, that are about the same kind of topics that we as Bitcoiners believe in, but that can also open people's mind to other topics that are not necessarily Bitcoin centric. And yeah, and so we have people reaching out. Actually, they reached out to Tomic, so maybe we can say some more. And we're really considering it too, because it's I mean, it would be an honor, to be able to show such content as well.
Yeah, I mean, there is always a question, what is a Bitcoin movie, right? Is this a film about Bitcoin? Then it's quite a not very wide specter of films. What is it, like film financed with Bitcoin, distributed with Bitcoin? I mean, Bitcoin can be lens to the film industry, and it doesn't have to be the main part of the plot. It doesn't have to be an object that, okay, we do a documentary about Bitcoin and only those we have at Bitcoin Film Fest. There will be films, and they are already being produced, films where Bitcoin is just mentioned somewhere, or even if it's not, it presents values that somehow align with Bitcoin ethos. Some people say that Matrix is a Bitcoin movie, right?
Mm-hmm.
Mm, it's produced before Bitcoin has been made. So we constantly are being faced with this question: what's happening for our initiative? Also in the future, will be like closed only for Bitcoin films. Let's like films about Bitcoin. Let's see. We are super happy to see. We already got 3 submissions for the next film festival from one documentary about Julian Assange, one about seasteading initiative. One guy building his country on some old ships, the sea somewhere on the ocean. And the third was about 3D printed machine gun. Or something like this, and I'm not sure how much. Maybe I cannot disclose the titles yet, but it's super. I'm super happy to see that these producers, they also see that, okay, this is Bitcoin Film Fest, so these guys are what we fight for. This is like Julian Assange, seasteading, freedom, right? So we will definitely we'll open the festival and official selection to films which are not necessarily about Bitcoin.
That's a good idea. And I mean, I think it's like if you're a Bitcoiner too, you're like you start to see like, well, every movie's kind of about Bitcoin, isn't it? Like, you know, you could sit there and you could look at like I don't know if you saw The Patriot with Mel Gibson,
Yeah,
fighting against,
really good film. Yeah.
the British, and you're like, well, it's kind of about Bitcoin because, they couldn't control the money and, they were getting taxed and uh, no taxation without representation. Like there's something there, right?
Well, like we are in this group, and when we are in this Bitcoin craze, and we are discussing it and doing podcasts and doing film festivals, everything we look at is like, oh, they're like this cheesecake. It's about Bitcoin, I guess, because like fiat food, like you could make a case for Bitcoin everything, Bitcoin films, Bitcoin food.
Yeah, I mean that's part of the things that everyone around you hates you while you're going down the Bitcoin rabbit hole because you just bring everything back to Bitcoin. Pierre, stop. We said no Bitcoin.
I know. It's funny too because I actually was talking to my mom about it the other day, and I said I was like, if you haven't noticed, I don't talk about Bitcoin with anybody anymore because they know at this point, like I've told them enough, because like part of it with like family and stuff, like I want to warn everyone, like, hey, be prepared, you know, and I'm like, they don't get it. If they want to talk about it, they can come talk to me, you know.
Yeah, well, I think that most people have this kind of approach in general, right? And that's even people that, are, I'd say, lucky enough, but that's maybe a bit too, it's not humble enough. But, they're lucky enough to have someone like you around that can actually explain things to them, right? Most people don't even have that and they dismiss the topic anyway. And so they have an even smaller chance of understanding this, soon enough, be prepared early enough. And I think that's what we have the opportunity with an initiative like the Bitcoin Film Fest to change as well, right? Because it's a more casual approach, It's the idea that going to a Bitcoin conference, even me, the first Bitcoin conference I went to, it's like, it's a bit, you don't really know what to expect. It's like it's going to be professional, but at the same time, I wasn't there as a professional. You don't know anyone. It's a hard event to attend unless you're really dedicated. Whereas going to a Bitcoin film festival, I mean, it's a film festival. There's different activities around it, and you really can learn this at your own pace. You can see a film that seems interesting to you while you're going to go there and try and learn it yourself, which I think is something that can only help. And a lot of people see that. I mean, we've joined a lot of, and we are still planning on joining a lot of Bitcoin conferences out there because they see that it's a way to potentially attract more people and bring it more fun into what is very just standard conference kind of format. Opening it up via culture is just another attack point for education. That is pretty interesting, I think.
Yeah, yeah, and do you have you guys so people can attend it, but in person, right? Um, how many people were there last year?
We had around 120, 150 people at screenings.
Oh wow.
But next door, we also organized a Weekend of Capitalism Libertarian Conference. So it was like a double event. So it had more attendees. That's why also we had some of them came to the film festival, but we had around 50 Bitcoiners from abroad, from Europe came attended. We expect this year to have 500 attendees. And that's our benchmark, and hopefully that's going to happen because we see there's quite a nice interest in it. Hopefully you will come as well. If you not, we will try to partner with one platform called My Movies Plus.
Oh, Movies
Right?
Plus, yeah.
Movies Plus.
Yeah.
Well, sometimes sometimes yours.
Yeah.
My movies with Movies Plus that we will also provide a VOD experience to those who cannot come to the festival. Films could be watched paying with a little amount of sats online.
Yep. Yep. That's that is the plan. Yeah, hopefully we can do that, and I'm sure. I mean, technical capabilities will be there to do it. So you guys keep an eye out, because on Movies Plus you'll be able to watch it, uh, attend the festival digitally.
Same was like last year. I think most of the films we've screened, uh, not all of them, but most of them, they were really easy and open to be watched online. Like,
Mhm.
and many people have seen already, like Human Bee or Le Mystery Satoshi, but they still come because they haven't seen it on a large screen. It's a totally different story, and also it's about meeting other cinephiles, other filmmakers. We are bringing also fiat film industry to get to know Bitcoin a bit more. Mm, so that's as I mentioned at the beginning. It's not just the place to show film to the audience in a big room, but it's an industry, and it's more important what's happening behind the screen. So we will also put lots of attention to the films that are not released yet, that are being like pitched at the stage looking for investors, or films that are in a process of production with the filmmakers to show some photos from behind the stage, tell their work process. Yeah, hopefully it's gonna be a nice cinematic experience, and not only cinematic, because the European halving party will also provide some parties, some sport
Mhm.
events, some
Mhm.
workshops. Fly over, Corey. Warsaw, Poland, April 20.
That I if I can do it, I will. Absolutely. I've never been to Poland, and I have a, a slight a sliver of my ancestry from Poland. Um, I'm not exactly. I have to dig through, because there was migration involved. A lot of it is Czechoslovakian, but you know, they kind of migrated and got pushed around to different areas, and um, stuff
Well,
like that.
the end of your last name is a bit it sounds Polish.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Czech,
Two Czech. Yeah.
Slovak, yeah.
Yeah, Slovak,
Yeah.
like Czech, Polish, like from there.
America, they changed it to two sec, but
Mm-hmm.
yeah, like, people, they'll be like, oh, two check. I'm like, actually, that is originally correct.
Mm-hmm.
It was
Mm-hmm.
Americanized. And but yeah, I think it's a great initiative, and like a super fun way for people to, explore Bitcoin, explore. It's just great timing also that it's going to line up with the halving, most likely. Um, and what do you guys think? Like, what are the biggest challenges to running a film festival? Because it's it's quite an event. So what did you guys find were the challenges you didn't expect?
I think the first challenge that we thought at the same moment that we figured, okay, maybe you should do a film festival, was like, is there enough films? Mm, and we pulled together 8 movies at the last film festival, and not all of some of them, they were like 2 or 3 years old. They were like a collection of like Bitcoin films that we could find that are Bitcoin enough, and that their creators could come over in person, right? And then we did this event. It was fun, and then we faced another question. Okay, should we do it in 2 years? Should we repeat it, or next year? But if you do it next year, there will be not enough Bitcoin films, right? So can we do a film festival when there is like 1 or 2 new movies? And we started digging. Mm, what are the who is making Bitcoin films? Started researching Twitter if there is any filmmakers mentioning Bitcoin, and we created a list of Bitcoin films that are released and Bitcoin films in production. And apparently, this list of Bitcoin films in production that are like, we know that are at some stage of like beyond the idea, there is over 30 titles, uh, and around 15 are expected to be released by Bitcoin Film Fest 2024. So it's a probably because of having, right, the number is a
Mm-hmm.
bit higher than expected, but to have like more than 10 films within a year being released within a year, because that's the idea for a film fest, to always show the new movies released in last year, give awards for the best films, like Golden Rabbits kind of like
Mhm.
Oscars, right? Mm, or some other awards. And having the 10 movies is totally enough. And apparently, like, this is not a problem anymore. Now we have a problem. Will we find enough enough like room venue for them? Like, will cinema be ready to accommodate us? They will, but then if people come, will people attention be split it properly? Like, will people actually attend the film, and can they stay 2 hours in the warm seat while behind the door there is like 10 other Bitcoiners from different countries chatting and drinking coffee? People, when they come to the conference, they are their attention span is not that ready to stay like 2 hours for a movie, then another 2 hours, and then like watch five of such movies. So this is something that is like a design problem that we are currently facing while programming the event. How to make the event attractive enough while still having the vibe and properties of a proper film festival.
Mhm. Pierre, what was
Yeah, and I
Okay.
think that's also why at least myself, but I know in the team in general, we're excited about the idea of the European having party as well, because it can help to solve this problem. Because it can allow us to do more than just screening films for people that might not want to watch a film at that moment. They will have other activities around, which just can, because there will always be just ongoing games, ongoing contests, things like that, panels, etc., that people can attend to at the same time, just to try and mix it up and have a schedule of films that, if what the film you're expecting to watch is Dirty Coin because it's the most hyped Bitcoin film currently, well, then you know that it's going to be playing at that time. This is when like you can go and watch that. And I think, this way we can give good balance in the whole programming to be able to be a bit of a hybrid between just the film festival, a conference, and just the party itself, right? So to be able to engage people, making this party event not just a one night where everyone gets drunk, but an experience throughout the whole weekend.
Yeah.
Yeah, and there also comes whole palette of challenges and problems that are probably every conference or event organizer faces, like fundraising, like venue, proper programming, and volunteers or people who could help you uh, with lots of operations that it involves. But we are not unique in this. Every conference or event organizer faces it. Uh, but we hope that we can address with this event, we can address those people that sometimes tell us, as I said, that they're fed up with regular conferences. So it's not going to be a regular conference. It's a half conference, half party, and half film festival.
Yeah. A little bit of each, right? A little bit
And
of
it's
each.
going to be halving, right? So lots of halves.
In so I think I'll have to talk to, this is a good time to drop the Bitbox O2 hardware wallet mid podcast read or mention. But I'll talk to Bitbox because that would be pretty cool. I think there would be a crossover there. I think we can figure something out.
The Beatbox, they're our friends. They were partner of our conference. They also helped us out with our visit at Lugano Plan B. We are also often giving away beatboxes at our Twitter
Oh
or events. So cheers to Beatbox team, and guys, if you whoever is listening to this podcast, get your Beatbox CO2 at your
yeah.
website.
Mhm.
And Corey, to check
Yeah.
what is the
Bitcoin
code discount code.
bitbox.swiss/Bitcoin made simple.
Bitcoin made simple, yeah.
But
We
yeah,
should
no, they're great.
now with this crossover, we should ask them for a higher discount, I guess.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. And I'm trying to think too of like a way that we can, um, if we can get them, like one, this is a super secret info, um, but we've been talking about for a while trying to do a Bitcoin meetup tour for the podcast.
Mm.
And I'm gonna go around like to different meetups in the United States, and do like a live recording at the meetup and stuff. So maybe we could get the film festival to be part of it. But yeah, well, that's neither here nor there.
Yeah,
We'll get that figured out. See if
yeah,
I'm talking to them right after at the beginning of the new year. So, because they'll as of now to sponsor through the next another 6 months at least. and you guys, everybody who's listening must be buying a bunch of bit boxes with promo code Bitcoin Made Simple because they keep coming back. So
Nice, good job.
but yeah, well, I guess before we finish up, I want to ask you guys, because we all know the Matrix. We talked about it a little bit, but outside of the Matrix, what movie to you is the most Bitcoin movie that isn't actually about Bitcoin? I'll start with you, Pierre.
I'm not sure. Because yeah, my first answer is The Matrix, obviously, but um, I don't know, Tomek, do you have any idea?
Damn. No, not really. Dallas Buyers Club with Matthew McConaughey, I think kind of resembles Bitcoin resilience and not listening to authority, but finding your own truth. You remember?
That's a good one.
No?
Yeah,
No?
Yeah.
That's a good film, yeah.
Wonder if is there another Matthew McConaughey like crossover with Interstellar? How could that be Bitcoin related? Because you could send your wealth through the wormhole.
Or maybe after all, it will be revealed that Satoshi Nakamoto was actually Cory from the future, who is sending us his Genesis block from his wardrobe.
That's
Yeah,
my that's
so
my big theory.
for Interstellar, then at the end when he's in like these different, like he sees because he's like in this space-time vortex, and he sees all of these different rooms. Well, maybe each room is the representation of that room during one block time. So it's a space for around 10 minutes, and he goes, through the time chain to, get back to all of these moments and communicate with his daughter there.
That's like my biggest theory. I think it's more plausible. I think it's more likely that he's from the future than we'll ever find out who he was.
If we are next to the Christopher Nolan movies, maybe Memento is like the guy who has only memory of the last block, and he tries to dehash the previous block and dehash the previous block to find what was in the past.
And he's got tattoos with his private keys.
I remember making a joke with Guy Swan early on in my podcasting journey. I was like, "So you don't think getting a tattoo of your private keys is a good idea?" And he said, "No, probably not." The tattoo artist would be sitting there just writing it down, like, okay.
Well, maybe not a private key directly, but somehow recording your mnemonic that only you could like make
A cipher
into
for
a
you.
private key. Yeah.
It'd be interesting. Leave a cipher for like, that way it's like a break glass if in emergency type thing where you have a cipher, you have some kind of thing on your back, and with a cipher, it's like you die or something, and your family's sitting there with a cipher looking at your back and trying to figure out cipher your coins.
Yeah, well, there's this cryptographic thing that even ChatGPT can do it for you. Although I don't recommend putting your private key in ChatGPT,
No.
but that allows to basically it can create art um, based on these words, and you can then scan it just like you can scan a QR code, and it will give you back these words. I forgot what it's called. In this art, it's like it's shapes kind of thing. It's like different boxes, like very just geometrical boxes that have, certain positioning, certain colors, and within this image, encoded is whatever message you want to leave in it. And I think that's
That's pretty
maybe
cool.
something elegant for like, yeah, someone that has an art collection where you just put a couple things there in the middle, and you always have your private keys available for whoever.
Oh,
But
that's awesome. Yeah, I'm trying to think. Memento. I mean, Christopher Nolan. You could probably make every Christopher Nolan movie about
yeah,
Bitcoin. But
yeah,
that's
there's always something about time, and Bitcoin is like this concept of the time chain, so we can
Now
always
I
bring it
think we
back to
really
that.
need to work on a better definition of Bitcoin movie. because we tried at the beginning of this podcast, it wasn't that clear, and now we are facing this problem. Okay, which movies to classify there? I think we should work on this, Pierre.
The
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
well, my the listeners, if you're a regular listener, then you know. But that's honestly from the future. And like what if their time travel isn't physically possible, but you can communicate digitally through time and space, and that's how. So Satoshi was someone in the future that
That's how Cory Tuchek, when he was old, he invented Bitcoin and sent it to the
exactly, yeah.
past.
You could basically like on a computer, with running some program, send messages to any point in history, and they pinpointed that October 31st, 2008 was the best possible time to drop it because it would prevent World War III, and like they would have enough adoption time, all these different things. I mean, it's in no way do I think it's real, but I think it's really fun to pull on that thread. And I'm a filmmaker,
That's
so like I'm constantly imagining.
Yeah, so I made, and we even reshared it this week from our Bitcoin Film Fest profile. I made a short animated, like it's trailer format, narrated by Daniel Prince, um, of this guy that is working on something on his computer, and there's just this narration where he says that he was sent back to the future, from the future, to fix what went wrong. And I even have a like longer scenario idea for that, where it would be, from a dystopian future where CBDCs have taken over. There's a group of rebel people that have come up with Bitcoin, and they also come up with a solution to take you back in time. And there's there of course, everything has to be dramatic, last minute kind of situation where they're about to get caught, and this is when they manage to actually send just the one person back into time, back in the past. So it's one individual that that released Bitcoin to the world, but it's the whole rebel organization that actually created Bitcoin. And I mean, I don't know, it's just the kind of fun ideas that you can come up with, and hopefully make a film like that
That's
in the future.
that's my goal. I have a lot of the ideas you're pulling down, I feel like would fit into the framework of this story that I have cooking for whenever I can just afford to drop like $50 million on a huge sci-fi space adventure movie. Um,
That's
basically
for
like
How
when
a
how,
Bitcoin
who's
how
will be
advanced
at
is your
25
story?
million.
how
Do you have
advanced
like
is it?
a yeah? Do you have like a screenplay or like a something written?
No, I just have the framework. And it involves it's basically like Star Wars, but on like Earth. Um, and
With all the aliens, all the
not
Chewbacca's
aliens,
and
but
Jabba's.
but it is like a future world that's very dystopic, and and there's the rising up of a new world order, which would basically be the Empire. Um, there's a Death Star element with a like a space station level, like international space station level, um, like ship uh that will extend around the world and um be there to protect everyone. Uh and and there's elements of, but it's cool because it pulls in uh like futuristic technology but ties it in with ancient technology, um because there is a lot that we don't understand where we come from as humans. For example, the pyramids.
Yeah,
I
I was going to
can
say pyramids. Yes.
guarantee you were not built the way that they tell us they were built, because we can't do it now. Um,
Maybe
and
they should take a look on these hieroglyphs and like think about Bitcoin. Maybe there is something.
it's
Imagine like going into. Read like last month
There's like
they discovered
21
another
written
chamber
everywhere.
in Cheops.
there's what?
Yeah,
Mhm.
there is. They discovered like another chamber or
Uh-huh.
something like a month ago. Imagine like they go inside and they figure like there is white paper written in like these little pictures.
I mean it's funny because it that's where like the idea came from, where I'm like, oh, there's there could be a crossover, and there could be a way of like the past and the future trying to communicate to us through Bitcoin. And you'd have to think like, so if, let's say, for example, technology, this is all for fun, but let's just say somebody develops a technology to be able to communicate and manipulate the past digitally. Um, and that would really be an evil thing that somebody could use to control the world. What if Satoshi, this is in a movie scenario, they see this technology about to be deployed and they know it's going to destroy the world. So to save it, they create Bitcoin, not necessarily for the monetary system, but if they created a monetary system that would then in the future, the entire world would be operating on, and it was with the time chain, with the blocks, so that if you went and tried to rewrite history and change it, communicate to the past, you would mess up and blow up the current financial system because it would mess up the time chain. So it's almost like once Bitcoin becoming the world reserve currency would prevent anyone at any time in the future from creating uh, time travel. Because if you
Yeah, I get
went
that.
back and changed anything, it would completely disrupt the entire blockchain and destroy your current system that you live in financially.
Yeah, okay, that's cool. I like the thought. I had never thought about it. But yeah, it could.
Like it's almost
Okay,
like time
that's a good
travel
idea.
prevention.
Yeah, 100%.
Like
Of
it's
course, because then you would impact your future you based on just your transactions that will forever be recorded,
yeah,
unlike cash that wouldn't ever be recorded.
it
So
would
no,
ruin
well, I mean,
everything.
so if you were to time travel, you can only time travel to before the creation of Bitcoin,
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
right?
and then there comes this existential battle, even in that scenario, where you're basically trying to prevent Satoshi from creating it. Um, but even then, if you're in a world in the future where the whole entire world operates on Bitcoin, then you don't even want to you wouldn't want to prevent it. You can't,
Mm-hmm.
because it would, that even preventing it. So it's like the moment Bitcoin got planted from, if this scenario, in this scenario, the moment Bitcoin got planted from the future, it was an irreversible situation. Nobody from the future would go back pre October 31st, 2008 and stop Bitcoin, because it doing that would wreck your financial system in
Mm-hmm.
present day.
Mm-hmm.
So it's once that time change, because it's the only thing, because time is a human construct, and it's the first thing that actually documents our time,
Mm-hmm.
like consistently. Because people have clocks and everything, but clocks stop working. There's an international clock, and it's controlled by a few people, but this is a clock that is controlled by anonymous people around the world.
Well, and the clock doesn't record the time, it just gives you the time.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is recording it, storing it for later.
Mm.
You can't, it's such a fascinating concept. I I don't know. I think the three of us, we have something here for the future. We just got to get millions of dollars to produce this movie.
But it's
Um,
super good that you are working on it, and I can see there is more. I hear more from people like you that are writing some stories to their drawers, and that's how movies happen. You
yep.
first need the written story, and so far, yes, in Bitcoin we mostly had the Bitcoin documentaries, but this industry is also maturing. So such stories like yours, there will be more of them, and they'll be better. And some of the investors, some studio, somebody with connections will pick it up, and or you will have enough, willpower and ambition to bring it to some studio or do a film yourself. Uh, I'm excited to see that. Come to Warsaw, Corey, again
Yeah.
in April, because we will most probably do a pitch competition for stories and scenarios, screenplays, ideas for films. This is a necessary point of any film festival.
Yeah.
At least we think so, and we'll implement it. We already have few ideas from the people who have some fictional stories, and also can't wait to see yours when you have it done. It would be I would be happy to read it.
Yeah. And what kind of what's the award given out? You know, you have the golden bear, and you have all the different
It's a
things given
rabbit.
out.
It's
It's
a
a
rabbit.
rabbit because
Yes.
rabbit hole.
Yeah, yes, because also White Rabbit is our brand persona for the film fest. So if you
Yeah.
see our materials somewhere website, there is often like this White Rabbit pops out, and Golden Rabbits is the new golden bears, new golden palms, new Oscars.
And where can people follow the film festival, get information on it, and hopefully attend it?
Well, the best would be on self-hosted bitcoinfilmfest.com. And then you can find all links to our Twitter, Nostr, and YouTube channels, etc.
Yeah, or on
Bitcoinfilmfest.com.
also europeanhavingparty.com also redirects to all of these links because of course it's a sister event.
Yeah. And Tomek, do you have a Twitter account?
Oh yeah, guys, I need followers. It's Tomek K, ITSTOMEK double K, KK.
Okay, I'll put that in the description if you can text it to me, or I'll find you
I
on.
will text you also my Nostr NPub, just
Yeah,
in case we have some Nostricious listening.
and Pierre, go ahead, give them your
Yeah,
Twitter handle.
so yeah, my Twitter is Sierre Corbin, so CIERREPORBIN. It's Pierre Corbin, but you inverse the first two letters.
Nice. Well, excellent, guys. Thank you so much for coming on,
Thank you, Corey.
and and everybody, make sure you get a BitBox02 hardware wallet also.
Yeah,
But
and thank you to all of your listeners. They are my buddies because I'm a listener myself.
yes, yes, and Pierre, thank you for coming on as well, and I look forward to seeing everybody at the festival. So let's all get there together. We'll have a
Take
Bitcoin
care.
Made Simple
Cheers.
meetup.
Yeah,
Oh yeah, let's
thanks a
do it.
lot, Corey.
All right. Thanks, guys.
See you.
Thanks.